Alright everybody, how we doing today? I've got an interview for a job today, so I gotta cut this short. Quick question though. By cut this short, I mean that I'm gonna make fewer videos today. I'm only gonna make 4, if even that. But, quick question though. Have you ever gone into a room and forgot why you went in there and thought to yourself, why'd I come in here? Because I did that earlier today. Anyway, from Reuters, U.S. senators pressed for sanctions on Turkey if it is violating ceasefire. This is from Washington, D.C., and it says Republican and Democratic U.S. senators asked President Donald Trump's administration on Wednesday to let them know and to respond with tough sanctions if reports are true that Turkey is violating a ceasefire agreement in Syria. Given the stakes, time is of the essence. Republican Senators Lindsey Graham and Marsha Blackburn and Democratic Senators Chris Van Hollen, Richard Blumenthal, and Gianna Shaheen wrote in a letter to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Those senators have been among the loudest voices in the United States Congress lamenting Trump's decision to withdraw U.S. forces from much of Syria, which many see as abandoning Kurdish forces who fought for years alongside U.S. troops as they battled Islamic State militants. In the letter, the senators cited reports that Turkish forces are operating outside an agreed-upon safe zone in northeastern Syria, and that Turkish or Turkish-backed forces are attacking Syrian Kurds near Tal Tamar. On several occasions, President Trump has threatened to destroy Turkey's economy should Turkey violate its obligations, they wrote in the letter. Now look, I'm glad that he tried to pull us out of Syria. Right thing to do. I still say we should have done it in a more timely manner when things were more convenient. And I suppose if that weren't possible and we had to leave right now, then I guess that's that. That's how the cookie crumbles, I suppose. But at the same time, all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. But we weren't the good men. We were the evil in so many ways. Especially if we were backing up the Kurds who were behaving like terrorists. Pretty much they were terrorists. We were backing terrorists to fight more terrorists. Go figure. That's classic USA Tactics 101. But we can't just let Turkey violate the arms deal. Now that we're out, we need to stay out. But sanctions against Turkey, I think, is the right thing to do if they go ahead and violate the ceasefire that was negotiated. By the Russians, if I'm not mistaken. Funny that. In keeping with his position, we ask that the administration take swift measures to enforce the October 17th agreement with tough economic sanctions, they said, adding they would continue to seek passage of a sanctions bill in Congress. And they should. Now that we're out of Syria, let's stay out of Syria. That doesn't mean we just let Turkey get away with whatever they want. We'll just avoid military options and go for something a little more soft. We'll go for Trump's maximum pressure. Excuse me. And much as I don't like that sort of Wall Street-style bullying of other countries, this is the one instance where I would be okay with it if Turkey had in fact violated the ceasefire. No more wars in the Middle East. But no letting people get away with bad stuff either. To further this story, from Ruptly, it says U.S. pulls out from Syria looking more like permanent occupation with 800 troops reportedly tasked to protect oil. 800 troops? That's only 200 less than the people we pulled out. Trump is turning into the biggest hypocrite I have ever seen. The long-awaited U.S. pullout from Syria appears to have been postponed, with Pentagon sources claiming that some 800 troops will stay behind to guard Syrian oil, in a mission even pro-war U.S. politicians are calling reckless. U.S. troops will occupy a large oil-rich area stretching 150 kilometers from Deir ez-Zor to Al-Hasakah. The Trump administration announced on Tuesday a total of about 800 troops will be stationed in the country, with some 600 in Kurdish-controlled northeast, plus the 200 currently garrisoned at Al-Tanf in south, anonymous administration officials told the AP. The decision appears to cancel out President Donald Trump's promise made last month to bring home the 1,000 troops stationed in Syria, representing another triumph of the hawks in his administration over the president's non-interventionist impulses. Trump has repeatedly bragged, "We're keeping the oil." The explicit purpose of the occupation guarding the Kurdish-controlled oil fields in northeast Syria, not only from terrorists but from the Syrian government, is illegal under international law, as Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin pointed out on Tuesday. Even American politicians who were previously chomping at the bit for Trump to keep troops in Syria have criticized the move. They point out that the 2001-2002 authorizations for use of military force, the post-9/11 resolutions that have been stretched to justify invasions of several countries under the guise of fighting terrorism, don't allow the U.S. to occupy another country's oil fields, given that the U.S. is not at war with Turkey or officially at least Syria. The U.S. is building 2 new military bases in Deir ez-Zor, according to Turkish media reports, indicating Trump is settling in for the long haul. One base near the town of Vermilion al-Hasaka province is reportedly situated near some 1,300 oil wells, and it fills up approximately 4 square kilometers. Now, those of you who are skeptical of Trump and may be suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, believe me, it's a thing, you might think, oh, this is him flip-flopping, this is him being a hypocrite. And I even made a statement earlier that kind of leaned in that direction. It feels like hypocrisy. It looks like hypocrisy. But does that really mean that it is hypocrisy? Well, that's the thing. I'm willing to play devil's advocate and say that maybe some war hawks in his administration talked him out of his pullout deal, and he only did a partial pullout at their behest. That it is possible that they are exerting some influence over him in negotiations, that they are convincing him to be a hypocrite and flip-flop on his promise of ending the endless wars in the Middle East. Which presents a very real danger. Any president that appears to be anti-establishment that you put in there, if they can get to Trump, they can get to anybody. They'll turn an anti-establishment president into a pro-establishment president with their influence alone, if I'm right. And if I'm wrong, then Trump is a giant hypocrite. But this needs to stop. Someone needs to do something. It's time enough at last that we end this nonsense of constant wars and oil grabbing in the Middle East. If we're so worried about our lack of oil, why not just buy it from someone and just take the price? Buying expensive oil is certainly better than going into endless wars and ruining hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of lives. It's far preferable, in my opinion. Officials told the AP that the order approval does not include a mandate to take Syria's oil, while Defense Secretary Mark Esper attempted to smooth out the president's words to that effect by saying he interprets them to mean U.S. troops are guarding Syria's resources from the Islamic State, even though the president has declared the terror group defeated. For now, they are. Trump announced troops would pull out of northeast Syria last month, allowing Turkey to clear the border area of the Kurdish militias. Ankara considers terrorists the president's critics in Washington recoiled at the prospect of peace, slamming Trump for abandoning the U.S. Kurdish allies, even when his administration negotiated a ceasefire with Turkey that gave Kurdish forces several days to clear the area and cleared the way for Russia and Turkey to reach a peaceful settlement of their own. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't going to ever be a thing that we could end all these endless wars. Maybe it's not going to be so simple as just getting an anti-establishment candidate in the office. Maybe it's time to drain the swamp, not just of the corrupt leftists, but of the corrupt rightists as well, the corrupt conservatives, and the corrupt liberals. Hell, let's clean out the entire government of these ass butts. All right? Let's get rid of all of them. I'm still saying right now, folks, if you do not approve of this government, then simply not voting and just throwing your ballot away, perfectly acceptable way to protest the government. You're not hurting anybody, you're not causing anything, you're just denying them a chance to acquire more power. And there's nothing these kind of corrupt politicians hate more than to lose a chance to gain more power, man. But trust me, I suppose we all should have realized that this shit was not going to end easily. It's always going to be a lot harder than just getting an anti-establishment candidate in the office. That is not going to be enough. Should have known better. They pressure him, they all but coerce him into being for their cause. That's the way I see it. That's my current theory. I'm sticking to it until I see something that proves me wrong, that shows me otherwise. Seems perfectly viable. Anyway, peace!